Welcome there, so creative. So in today's video we'll be learning how to draft a basic trouser. It's very simple. First of all, let's take the measurements you'll be needing. Just take a look at the screen. These are the measurements you'll be needing for the basic trouser. For this particular measurements, you need to measure your clients, then also their derived measurements. Okay, yeah, these are the derived measurements. So with the formulas given, you calculate and get your derived measurements. Having those measurements at the back of your mind, let's proceed to the drafting process. So the very first thing you want to do, you want to determine your crotch depth. Your crotch depth from the derived measurements is your hip circumference divided by 4. So the measurements you'll be needing for this drafting, the hip circumference is 40. So dividing 40 by 4, you get 10, right? So 10 is your crotch depth. Your crotch depth, you determine where you want to start from. Okay, so I'm just measuring 1 inch down from the edge. Okay, can you see? So this is my starting point. From my starting point now, I'll impute that crotch depth measurement. The 10 inches we derived, so I'll measure 10 inches from here down like this and mark. Okay, so I'll be imputing a line here. So this is my crotch depth line. So the next thing I want to do, I will need to square this line. Okay, that simply means I'll measure another 10 like this. Okay, can you see what we are doing? 10. So I'm simply measuring 10 again to have a square here. Okay, so I haven't gotten this square. Next, I'll trace my hip. From my shoulder, from my waist to my hip is 8. Okay, but if you did not measure that, you can come from your crotch depth upwards by 2 inches. Okay, it's still the same thing. So I'm simply doing that. I'm marking the hip line. Okay, so now we have our waistline, our hip line, and our crotch depth. Our crotch depth line. Okay, so you can label it. Next, we'll be bringing in our crotch depth extension. For our front crotch depth extension, the calculation for it is hip circumference divided by 20. So the hip circumference is 40. 40 divided by 20 will give us 2. So our front crotch depth extension is 2. Now, can you see this? On this crotch line, okay, on this our crotch depth line, you impute 2 after this square. Okay, you mark 2 forward like this. So this is our front crotch extension. Marks that. You now, from this angle, you mark half an inch upwards like this. Okay, so having done that, you now bring in your curved ruler and curve out a beautiful curve from here to connect to this line. Okay, so just ensure that. Okay, can you see? So for now, this is what we are having here. So the next thing we want to do, we want to go and impute our waist circumference measurement. So my waist circumference is 30. Remember, this is not your high waist. Okay, this is not your natural waistline, but this is your belly button waist. Okay, so that is for a basic trouser. So you impute that measurement. For my belly button waist circumference, it is 30. So 30 divided by 4 will give me 7.5. Okay, so you measure from this point 7.5 like this and mark. Can you see? So this is it. Now you'll be taking that of 1 inch, so you add back that 1 inch here. This is the waist now that we'll be working with. Now you get your hip curve and connect from here to the hip line. Okay, connect from here to the hip line in no particular order. Okay, can you see this? Very beautiful. So having done that, the next thing you want to do here is to determine the midpoint from here to here. Okay, you try to get your midpoint there like this. Okay, so this is the midpoint. So on this midpoint, you now take a line down of, this is a front trouser, so we are having a dart length of 5.5 inches. That is basic. So you are extending a line down here to get to 5.5 inches. Can you see? And now we impute our darts of 1/2 inch on both sides. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Now connect to the dart leg at the end. Can you see? Can you see what we have gotten here? So having gotten that, we will also come up from this side by 1/2 inch. Okay, so we have raised the trouser by 1/2 inch at the side. Next, we'll be connecting this 1/2 inch raised to the first dart leg here, like this. Okay, I hope it is clear. So after raising this, we connected this to the first dart leg here, like this. Okay, so having done that, the next thing we want to do is to slope down the center back, the center front by 1 inch. Okay, you slope it down now by 1 inch and mark. And now this 1 inch slope will be connected to the next dart leg. Okay, can you see? Just connect like this. Now the upper part of the trouser is complete. Let's move down. So now we determine the length of our pants. Okay, the full length of the pants or the trouser is 38 inches. So we now measure 38 inches. Mind you, we are not measuring it from this 1/2 inch upwards that we marked earlier. We are measuring it from our basic line. Okay, this very line. You measure the 38 inches down. Can you see? So you mark. Now you are taking this 38 inches like this, so you have an accurate line there to determine your hemline. Okay, so now we have our hemline. Okay, so this will serve as our hemline. The next thing we want to do, we want to determine our crease. Okay, for us to determine the crease of the pants, we need to measure from here. You remember, this is the front crotch extension. From the crotch extension down to the end, this way. Okay, so measuring from crotch extension to this point, we have 12 inches, right? So this 12 inches now, we will divide it into 2. Okay, so this is our midpoint. This, from here to here, we divide it by 2. Okay, we divide from this ending, okay, from this our starting point to our crotch extension, we divide by 2. The midpoint is our crease line. Can you see? This is it. Now we have to take this line down to the hemline. Okay, you can take it down with dotted lines because we are not necessarily making use of the entire line. To get a straight line down, look at what you do. You measure from here to here 6, and come down here to here, you measure 6. So you connect the 2 points so that your line will be straight. Okay, so having done this, the next thing we want to do, we want to determine our knee line. Okay, so now we have our waistline, our hip line, our crotch line, and then our hemline. We are left with our knee line. Okay, to get our knee line, this is what you do. Very simple. From this your crotch line, you measure down to your hemline. Okay, crotch to hem, and then you trace the midpoints of the 2. okay? The midpoint will bring us here. Now, I haven't gotten the midpoint here. You come up by 2 inches, okay? Let's do this on the crease, okay? Let's take that again. From crotch to M divided by 2 will bring us here. And then on this point, we come up by 2 inches. Here is our knee line. So now we also have our knee line here. So having gotten our knee line, we bring in our knee circumference measurements. So my knee circumference is 18 inches. 18 divided by 2 will give me 9 inches, right? Okay. So we bring in that 9 inches here. This is what you do. You want to see 9 inches on this line. So you just trace 9 divided by 2 to give you 4.5, right? You place the 4.5 here. Mark on this side 4.5 and on this side 4.5. Now, what you simply do is to connect this to this. And then, since this is a basic trouser, you don't need to bring in your ankle circumference measurement here. So you are still bringing down this knee circumference measurement straight. It's a basic trouser. So in the same vein, on this M line, you mark 4.5 here and 4.5 here, and you connect like this and like this. So I haven't done that. Next is to connect it to the crotch depth here, to the crotch extension. I mean to say, you can use your curved rulers to get a very perfect line there, okay? And now you come straight. And then on this hip area, you do the same thing, okay? Can you see what I'm doing? So that is it for our front trouser block. It is complete. Can you see? Very simple. It's time to draft the back. Just to draft the back, we need to cut out the front, because we'll be placing this front on another pattern paper for us to easily draft the back. So now let's cut out. Now it's time to draft our back. Please note that for the back there are major alterations, okay? So just take note of those alterations. This is the front block, if you can remember. And then also, if you can remember, there was a line here in the front block, okay? Let's redraw that line, because we'll be making use of that line, okay? It's from that line that we'll be forming our alterations. You remember the line? So on this line, we came down by 1 inch to get this for the front, okay? So this is the line. Let's assume the line is still there so that we can work with the back. And also from this line, we came up by ½ an inch to get this for the front, right? Okay, so now it's time to draft the back. So take note of this. You should be starting with this. For the back, you measure from this very point, you measure 2.5 inches inwards, like this. And then on this 2.5 inches point, you measure 1.5 inches, okay? So from here to here 2.5, then from here to here 1.5, and then you insert a line like this, okay? First, now you come to this crotch depth, to the crotch depth line. On this crotch depth line, okay, remember this point, this is the front crotch extension. So we are not working with this crotch, the front crotch extension. So on this very point, you are marking 1 inch inwards, 1 inch inwards like this, okay? So it's time to connect this 1 inch to this very point we marked upwards. So you just connect it like this. Can you see? So we have this line now for the back. Okay, this is for us to get our back waistline. Okay, so for our back waistline now, we'll be measuring from this point now. Can you see? From here backwards to get our back waistline. So you measure from here 7.5, if you can remember, plus 1 inch for the dart will be 8.5, and you mark. Can you see? So we are extending this waistline down here, and then we'll come up by half an inch and mark. So is this half an inch point now? You will now link to this point. Okay, is it clear? So from here you link it like this. So our back waist is complete. Now what we will do next is to determine our back shape. Okay, so we'll be coming out from this hip line by 2 inches and mark, and also from the crotch depth line you measure backwards by 2 inches. Okay, like this. This is 2 inches already, and then here is 2 inches. So you connect them together and then connect to the waistline. Okay, you can use your curved rulers to neatly achieve this. Can you see what we are having for our back? So this is it. Now at this point, what we need to do is to come to this crotch extension line and then create our back crotch extension. Okay, so for our back crotch extension is hip circumference divided by 10. That is 40 divided by 10, which will give us 4. Okay, the back crotch extension is 4. So you place your measurement tape here. Okay, not here, because now this is our new line for the back. So you place it here and measure the 4 inches out from here like this. So our back crotch extension will bring us here. Can you see? So you take your ruler and then extend this out to get to this point. Okay, so mind you, our front is still on top of our back. So what we'll simply do, before we remove it, we need to trace out the new lines we have created for the back using our tracing wheel. Okay, this is a tracing wheel. By now you should know how to use this. So we'll quickly trace out the lines now. This is our back line. Let's trace it out so that by the time we remove this front, we'll know how to get this line. Okay, and then for the crotch extension, we also trace it out for the back like this. And mind you, we have not imputed our hip line also, so you can just simply trace out everything on this upper part except the darts, because we'll be creating new darts for the back. Okay, this is it. This is already on the back. So now we have traced it. We are not removing it now because we'll still be making use of it at the down part a little, just a little. Okay, so having gotten this now, how do we connect it to this line? What you simply do, you come up like this, about 1 inch like this. Okay, so you can just impute a line to determine where your curved ruler will pass by the time you are imputing the curve. So what you simply do now, you use your curved ruler and then beautifully impute a curve that passes like this to touch this back line. Okay, center back line. So you can simply use your curve. You can simply use your curve to make it beautiful. Okay, can you see this? So we are having this for the back. Then to connect this to this and this to this, we just simply bring out the knee line by half an inch. Okay, mark half an inch here, half an inch here. Also on the M, you do the same thing, half an inch on both sides, right? So you now use your ruler to connect. First on the down part like this, and like this. Okay, next you connect it to the hip line like this. You can use a straight ruler, after which you blend it out. Okay, like this. Can you see? And just blend it out to have a smooth transition there. Can you see what we are having? So our back is almost complete. Now you remember the lines we traced out. Okay, let me just quickly touch them again so that you will know. We traced out this our crochet, our hip line, our new center back line, okay, and then our waistline on this point, just for reference purposes. Then you are also to trace out this knee line if you wish, if you just wish. It's not compulsory. So we now simply remove the front. Can you see our back now? We are left with the back. Now you go in there, use your rulers, and then re-emphasize the lines we traced out like this. This is a crochet line, this is a hip line, then this is our new center back line. Okay, and it was curved out at this point, so we traced all out like this. Can you see what we are having? Okay, so this is not useful anymore. This was in the front. Okay, these two isn't perfectly useful. It was also in the front. Now this is our waistline for the back. Can you see? This is our waistline for the back. Our back is complete. And also remember our knee line for the back. You can decide to re-emphasize it for reference purposes. Okay, so this is it. Now it's time to insert our back darts. To do that, you simply measure this sloped line. Our waistline is now sloped. You just measure a half of it. Okay, you trace the midpoint of it like this, and then you measure down. As you are coming down, note that you have to stop 6.5 inches. Okay, for the back, the standard dart length is 6.5 inches. Okay, remember for the front it was 5.5 inches. Then the standard dart intake is 1 inch, half an inch on both sides. Okay, so we are doing the same thing for the back. For our darts for the back is also complete. Now our trouser is complete. I hope it was easy. Let's quickly cut this out and show you what we are having on both sides, both back and front. Okay, here we have our front and then our back. Can you see? So let's talk about the front a little. For the front, mind you, this line is not useful. Okay, it was the back, center back, the new center back line. Okay, can you see? So this is not useful. So this is our center back, our center front line. This is our center front. So if you are making this trouser for yourself and you have a flat tummy, so to say, you will need to eliminate fine lines. Okay, in that case I will recommend you just measure about half an inch and then you trim out from this center front line so that the trouser will come out perfect without any fine lines, right? Okay, so we are done with our trouser drafting. If you find this video helpful and useful, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and then turn on your notification bell so as to get notified when we post our next video.